on FM, on digital radio, on your mobile and online. This is London Greek Radio.
I'm Tony Neofido, and I'll be driving the decks on London Greek Radio all the way till 8 p.m. And I'm pleased to announce we're launching our brand new show, a monthly show here on LGR. Let's Talk Thalassaemia, community chess program being aired the third Thursday of every month. And that means I'm joined by some very special people, lovely individuals in the studio. I have Rowana, Vice Chair of UKTS, UK Thalassaemia Society. Christina, Vice President of NEPAMAC UK. And Dr. Perla Eleftherio, Consultant Hematologist, Cyprus Medical Society UK. They will, of course, formally introduce themselves to you, the listener. Rowana, I know you're a friend of LGR, a very familiar voice and face here. Let's talk UKTS.
Hi, Tony. Thank you for having us here today. And I know you were not very... He was, I can tell everybody listening that when he saw me, he got very nervous because I have him on his toes all the time. So I'm from the UK Thalassaemia Society, and it's the only national charity that supports people and clinicians with thalassemia. So I'll talk more about that later, but I'm very excited to introduce some of our other guests. And with me is Christina from NEPAMAC. Christina.
Hi, thanks for the introduction. My name's Christina, I'm NEPAMAC UK Vice President. NEPAMAC UK is a Cypriot youth organisation, many listeners will know, and our mission is to connect and engage Cypriots in the UK between 18 and 30 to promote and celebrate our Cypriot culture and heritage.
Thanks, Christina. And we also have Dr. Perla Eleftherio, who's a consultant haematologist at UCLH Hospital in London. Perla, are you on the line? Can
Yes, I'm on the line. Can you hear me?
We can hear you clearly.
Hello,
how are you,
good
Perla? Good evening.
Hi, good evening, everyone. And thank you to the listeners and to the LGR who's invited us to talk about thalassemia. Yes, I'm a consultant hematologist, a blood specialist with a very special interest in the field of thalassemia, and I work at University College Hospital in London. And I'm also a committee member of the relatively recently found society, the Cyprus Medical Society UK. And the Cyprus Medical Society UK, or UK CMS, is a platform to bring together Cypriot doctors working in the UK with the primary aim to provide support and enhance the collaboration and professional development of Cypriot healthcare professionals, but also medical students in the UK. The founding of UK CMS was in March 2020, in the middle of the COVID pandemic, actually, which was one of the main reasons these led to the to the establishment of this organization. And we have currently about 200 members in our society, and the committee consists of 5 consultants, including myself, 2 junior doctors, and 2 medical students. And we are actively and really enthusiastically supporting all the work and efforts of UKTS in every single aspect, and especially, obviously, in relation to the campaign day on the 14th of May. And we're doing this through promotion of the event, through our membership base and social media channels, but also even more actively through my own scientific expertise as a UK thalassemia specialist. So thank you very much.
Thanks, Perla, and that was a great introduction. So, ladies, I thought we would talk about why we decided to work to help the screening program with thalassemia in the UK, and why we're trying to raise awareness of the condition and how our organizations got involved. So, Christina, should we go to you first?
Yeah, absolutely. So thalassemia is obviously a really important issue to get tested. It's incredibly important for young Cypriots to know whether they are carriers and to be aware and gain information and education on the subject. So this event's taking place on Sunday, May the 14th from 1 to 4 p.m. At the UK Thalassaemia Society office. Is super important to get your free thalassemia test.
Yeah, and before we go into, because people might hear getting a thalassemia test and they probably wouldn't understand why, but fortunately for us, we have Perla here to talk about what thalassemia is and why we're doing this testing. Why is this essential?
Yes, so thalassemia, first of all, the word thalassemia stems from the It's a compound word, and it consists of two little words, Greek of origin words, thalassa, which means sea, and ema, which means blood. So thalassemia is the name of a group of inherited conditions that affect a substance in the blood, in the red cells in the blood, which we call hemoglobin. So people with thalassemia, so people who are born with thalassemia, produce either not at all or very little hemoglobin. And this hemoglobin is essential to carry the oxygen around the body. So one can imagine that people with thalassemia who have very little or no hemoglobin, they will be very anemic, and they will be developing severe health problems from already a few months after birth. So this condition affects people, mainly people of Mediterranean, South Asian, Southeast Asia, and Middle Eastern origin. And one here has to mention that there are different types of thalassemia, and we broadly divide them into alpha and beta thalassemias. But when we talk about the most significant form of thalassemia, which leads to life-threatening problems if untreated, if left undiagnosed and untreated, we refer to the beta thalassemia major. This is the most severe type of thalassemia. But there are less severe cases which may not be noticeable until later in childhood or even until adulthood. So all these that I have just mentioned probably has helped a lot of the people who are listening to us and might have not heard about enough, at least about thalassemia before, to understand why the screening and testing for thalassemia is important. Because we want to know who carries the thalassemia gene and who can therefore inherit it to future babies that we'll have, but also some mild forms of thalassemia might be detected later on in life, so testing for thalassemia is important in this regard as well.
Thank you for that, Perla. That was a great introduction to what thalassemia is. Before we continue, we're going to take a short break to listen to some amazing songs here by Tony. So we'll be back.
This is LGR, London Greek Radio.
Εάν σε ρωτήσουν ποιο ραδιόφωνο ακούς, εσύ πες τους, ακούω London Greek Radio 103,3. Το ελληνικό ραδιόφωνο του Λονδίνου.
You're tuned into London Greek Radio LGR, and this is the debut launch show of Thalassaemia, talking all things thalassemia with our friends from UKTS, UK Thalassemia Society, based in Southgate Circus. Christina, Vice President NEPAMAC UK, Rowana Christina, and Dr. Perla Eleftheriou, Consultant Hematologist, Cyprus Medical Society UK.
Yeah, and Christina and I just got carried away talking about
we started chatting
about what Perla was saying and like what that meant to both of us. What Perla was saying, to how it meant to. So what do you think about how Perla explained thalassemia? What does that mean to you? And like, you're going to get married soon.
I am. I'm getting married very soon. I think for me, knowing that in Cyprus it's obligatory that you get tested for thalassemia before getting married. To test if you're a carrier, for me it's quite scary that anyone could be walking around as a carrier and they might not know about it.
Yeah, and I think I remember seeing this article published, a journal article saying that there was sort of 1 in 4 people from a Cypriot background had a thalassemia gene, or they were a carrier. So it's something for you to think about before or after you get married, that you and your fiance need to
for sure. We're both going to be tested on the 14th of May.
I'm glad that's one kind of success story out of this. I think from the UKTS's perspective, what we advocate for is for people to have informed decision making and like informed knowledge. So the fact that if you're a carrier or not at that point, and when you're ready to have children, whenever that is, after you enjoy your first, a couple years or whatever, that you could then make the decisions that's right for your family. And that's kind of what we echo in this society.
And I think because it's an invisible thing, right? You know, you don't know. You could be fit, you could be healthy, you could be going to the gym every day. You have no idea if you are a carrier. So I think because of that, people are much less likely to look into what thalassemia is. And unless you really are around the dialogue in the Cypriot community, who are mainly affected by thalassemia, or one of the islands affected, you would not really put yourself in a position to contact your doctor to get tested.
No, you won't. And like, I speak to parents on a daily basis, and some of the feedback we get from them is that, well, we didn't know, why didn't they tell us? And lots of them say, well, I thought I was healthy, so when I found out I had the trait, I just assumed that if my child inherited this from me, that they would be healthy too. And now that I know it's different and they need blood transfusions every 2 weeks, it's such a different perspective that I see now, and I wish that we knew about this information earlier. So I think that's what we get on a daily basis. I can tell you, living with thalassemia myself, because I have the major form of the condition, it's challenging, and we have amazing doctors and amazing in terms of medical advances, we're one of the best in the world, but it doesn't mean that it's not a challenging condition to live with, and you have daily battles to undergo. So I think the sooner that young people know that they need to get tested and why they need to get tested, I think it's better for all of us.
I'm so interested in your story. When did you find out, obviously, that you had thalassemia?
Well, I should say I found out because my parents were like, by the way, you need to have blood transfusions. But they found out when I was about 4 months old. Better question, when did they find out? They found out when I was about 4 months old. But my mother said that they felt like she knew something wasn't right and I wasn't feeding well. I was from being a very feisty and loud baby and very giggly, and until I wasn't really interacting with them, and I was just I want to say lazy, but I wasn't lazy. I was lethargic and not feeding well. I wasn't growing. I was very, very pale. So she knew something wasn't right. But the doctors, because she was quite young. Not that she's old now. She was quite young then, and the doctors thought, well, because she's a first-time mother, it was just first-time mother's neuroticism, and she was a hypochondriac in that sense. And she kept taking me to the hospital every couple of days, and they're like, something's not right. So after kind of 4 months, I was 4 months old when they diagnosed me. And then I've been having blood transfusions every 2 to 3 weeks since then.
So you're sort of living proof, you're living with thalassemia. Obviously, you've invested so much of your life to this mission with the UK Thalassemia Society, which is so incredible and really admirable. Yourself and your mother, Romaine, who have been working with very closely for this event to make it happen. So I think, you're such an advocate for the importance of testing, and there must be so many people who are unaware, and it's really not in the public dialogue. It's not really in the cultural dialogue enough that we haven't got it on the forefront of our agenda.
It's not. And before I go on to talk about that, I just want to say, I've got my inspiration too from some of the older patients that could have paved the way for me. So I never forget them in this whole process, because while I'm still mid-30s, we have patients who are now in their 60s, and it's quite amazing in that sense. So they have paved the way, and we've learned how to treat me because of them. So we never forget what they've done, and they've been instrumental in the UKTS and internationally, but also from a motivation perspective for me. But one of the things I was going to say is that we do the wine festival, the Cypriot Wine Festival, and we attend that every year usually. And we have grandmothers coming up to us, and they say, when we talk to them about thalassemia, they say to us, they're like, no, stop, thalassemia is eradicated. That's in Cyprus.
Oh,
and
wow.
they don't think, and that's what they don't think. And only after we speak to them, then they say, well, I need to get my grandchildren tested. Because they
have no idea.
No, they genuinely think it's been confined to history books.
That's a problem.
Yeah.
That's a big problem. And that's why I think this event taking place, this testing, free testing, of course, at the Thalassemia Society's offices is so important. And I think for anybody who's just wondering, curious, interested, it's not a long time. How long does it take what can they expect for the test? Let's talk about that.
The test is, and Perla could come in here too, it's just a simple blood test. It takes probably less than 5 minutes of your time just to come in and for them to take this blood test. It's less than 3 mils of blood that they take from you, and that's been sent out to the lab. But we also have lots of other organizations collaborating with us, like NHS Blood and Transplant. Big part of thalassemia is having blood transfusions. So NHSBT, as their short name they like to be called, they have agreed to come and tell people what their blood types are. So I can tell you mine is bleed positive. And I think every time we have to have a transfusion and they come and they verify what your blood group is. And it's like a reminder to me when I have to say be positive, and it's like a reminder like, okay, we have to be positive. It's a good thing. We have some people who are A positive. So one of our patrons, Kypros Kyprianou, his blood group is A positive, and he said to us, he's like my grades in school.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah. So we, I think it'll be such a great thing for people to come in and get, it's like a real health check in a sense. You find out what your blood group is. You find out if you have thalassemia.
Doesn't take long.
Doesn't take long.
You might be shopping Southgate High Street. You might be grabbing some cakes. I won't name drop any names in case they're not sponsors. And, it's not a long test for you to have that peace of mind. And if you do get those results, there's going to be the education and the material there and the support from the UK Thalassemia Society for your next steps.
And we have lots of doctors and nurses present to be able to advise people right on the spot. And if you get concerned, if you feel like you have any questions, you have a whole team to support you, and you'll get to meet some of us, which you might, I don't know, that might be interesting.
Brilliant. That sounds great.
What do you think, Perla?
Yes, can you hear me?
We can.
Excellent. Yes, no, totally on the same page. Spot on, both of you, in all that you said. Just wanted to touch on the myths that you mentioned, Roanna. So you mentioned one about the eradication. Yes, I think that people have this misbelief or misconception that that we don't have thalassemia anymore, that is, completely gone. I think that's partially related to the fact that in Cyprus, as you said, or one of you said, I think Christina mentioned, in 1980s already, the premarital screening was made compulsory by law. And then a few years after, prenatal diagnosis was started, and because of this, which really makes it a world example of screening for thalassemia in terms of success, there have been significantly fewer births with thalassemia in Cyprus. So I think a lot of that, or the origin of this belief might stem from this success story from the very well established, premarital screening that we have in Cyprus. But there are two other myths that I come across quite often, and I think this is very important because we've been talking about screening, but and the risk of high risk couple to have people, babies rather, with thalassemia major, and I want everybody to be clear what we're talking about. So if both parents have the thalassemia gene, so if both parents are thalassemia carriers, in other words, then this increases the risk of having a baby with thalassemia major to 25%, but with each pregnancy, because often I hear from couples, I already have a thalassemia child, so the next pregnancy, that means it will be leading to a healthy baby with no thalassemia. And I just wanted to stress the fact that this risk, if both parents carry the thalassemia gene, so if both parents are thalassemia carriers, which is what we are asking people to come to test for on the 14th of May, but beyond as well, carries this risk with every pregnancy. So the risk remains the same, 1 in 4 or 24% with every pregnancy to have a baby with the actual severe form of thalassemia major. And the third myth that I have come across with a couple of times now in the last few years is that thalassemia is a contractable disease. So it's an acquired disease. And again, stressing here that it's a blood-borne disease, so it's an inherited disease. People are born with it. It's a genetic disease. Those are the three things that I wanted to add.
Yeah, Perla, thank you so much. I think that was a really important point about one in each pregnancy, because we do find that parents think if they have one child with thalassemia that perhaps the other 3 that they may have after will be fine. So I think that is a really important point. Thank you so much for clarifying that. And I think we're going to go for a break. So we'll be back soon.
This is LGR London Greek Radio. We are talking all things thalassaemia all the way to 8 p.m. Joining us are two lovely friends of LGR. We have Rowana, Vice Chair UKTS, UK Thalassaemia Society, and Christina, Vice President NEPAMAC UK.
And we've been getting some questions. Christina, you have a question, don't you?
We've got one from Twitter. What if me and my partner have a thalassaemia trait? Can we still have children, or should we reconsider?
Oh, you can have children, but luckily we have a doctor on the call. Prula, can you help us with this question?
Yes, of course, and thank you. Yes, of course you can have children, but you need to understand that if you are a thalassaemia carrier, yes, you are at risk of having a child with thalassaemia if your partner is also a carrier. And as we mentioned just earlier, this risk of having a baby with the severe form of thalassaemia is 25%. Now, in the UK, we have access to prenatal diagnosis. So a high-risk couple can have access to genetic counselling, so to special clinics where the risk and the implications of such a pregnancy will be explained, and the couple will be offered the opportunity to have prenatal diagnosis, which means in the form of amniocentesis or chorionic villus sampling, so it's baby testing essentially once the woman is pregnant. Which leads to the confirmed and accurate diagnosis of whether the baby actually has thalassaemia major or not. And in the UK, the couple further on, upon the result of the prenatal diagnosis testing, will have the choice to either terminate the pregnancy or continue with the pregnancy. And this is, I'm emphasizing all choices, all options, so nobody will be forced to have prenatal diagnosis, or indeed, if the prenatal diagnosis testing shows that the baby has inherited thalassaemia, this will be entirely up to the couple to decide the outcome of the pregnancy, and actually up to the mother by law to decide whether to continue with the pregnancy or not. There is another option which we called pre-implantation genetic diagnosis, which means that there is the possibility for a high-risk couple to have a type of in vitro fertilization, so IVF, whereby the embryo is selected to be unaffected by the thalassaemia disease, which is a secure form of genetic of treatment, of fertility treatment, if you want, to have a baby without thalassaemia in the presence of the thalassaemia gene in both partners. So yes, there are options. Of course, you can have children, and the chances of having a healthy baby if you're both carriers are much higher, so 75% chance to have a baby which is unaffected by thalassaemia. But there are other options, as I've just mentioned. So I hope that was clear.
Thank you, Prula. That was really clear. And I think one of the great things about living in the UK and living in the society is that we have options, and parents have options, couples have options, and just having, the chance to do pre-implantation genetic diagnosis and testing and things like that is such I would say, a 22nd century kind of idea that we can do, and just for parents having information is what we really advocate for. But I think, Christina, you and I were talking more about this event because I think people have been asking about where it's going to be and about local train stations and how to get there.
Yeah, so our previous communications had that it was taking place at the Greek Cypriot Brotherhood in North Finchley. It's now taking place at the UK Thalassaemia Society's office, 19 the Broadway Southgate Circus, Southgate N14 6PH. Many people will know where that is. And of course, it's taking place Sunday, May 14th at 1 to 4 p.m. So drop in, no specific timing, just between 1 and 4 p.m. As we mentioned, it's not a long test. schedule it into your day, and hopefully it will be something valuable.
And people can book on your website, right? On your Eventbrite.
Yes, so we have an Eventbrite link. You can find it on nepomac.uk on Facebook. Also, the link will be on Instagram as well. So on all our social media channels, Nepomac UK, you can find them. And sign up. It's a free ticket on Eventbrite. You do need to register so we can track our numbers. But even if you do not register through Eventbrite, please just drop by on the day if you're 18 to 30, Cypriot descent. We're so happy to promote this as Nepomac UK and have as many people tested as possible.
Yeah, and I think I'm really excited for the event. I guess we have a lot planned that's going to happen, and like there's going to be lots of other groups there for people to talk to, and I think it's even just to get to know your community. But the last event we had like this, we had people coming in from Wales and all over the country, so I think it'll be great to see who turns up and who we meet.
Absolutely.
And how we can work together.
Asking questions, you'll have everybody there. It's a really amazing operation, and a big thank you to the UK Thalassaemia Society for liaising with the NHS workers. This whole logistical organisation that's gone into this event hasn't been easy, so we're really grateful, and we urge the community to come together. If you have grandchildren, nieces, nephews, sons, daughters, please ask them to go, drop by 1 o'clock to 4 p.m. Sunday, May the 14th.
Yeah, because you could just be helping them with their future children, the health of their future children. So it's quite a big impact that you'll have.
Big impact, yeah.
But ladies, thank you so much for being here. I think for the UKTS, we're very grateful that you both work with us and for us with our patients to help improve their quality of life. And
absolutely. What's coming up for you guys?
We have so many things coming up. We have so this weekend we have the London Marathon. We have quite a lot of runners running the 26.2 miles. I can't even dream of how they do that, but we do. And we also next week are in Birmingham for a patient event. We're in Manchester in the mid-May for another screening event like this. So we're doing it all over the country, in Manchester, in Wales, and then we're going to have another one in London kind of later in the year. But if you want to find out about all of our activities and things, you can go to the UKTS website at www.ukts.org. And there we have an events calendar that tells you all of the events, what we do, who we are. You'll get to see some of the faces to the people that you're hearing on today. And yeah, get in touch with us. Come volunteer. We need young people and not just young people and being ageist here. We need everybody to get involved and to support the charity. We're such a small charity and we're trying to do really big things. So we need all the support that we can.
That's brilliant. That's good to hear. For us, we've got a lot going on. A lot of our activities that we're most known for is obviously our Cyprus programs, such as our Nepomac Discover Cyprus tour that takes place. Our charity campaign known as our Santa Shoebox campaign that takes place at Christmas time. And then obviously we have our annual boat party on the 3rd of June this year, which we'd love to see everyone attend. It's going to be great fun. So yeah, obviously this is the most imminent thing coming up, Sunday, May 14th. 2023, 1 o'clock to 4 o'clock at the UK Thalassaemia Society office. Yeah,
it's so great. And
big thank you also to the Cyprus Medical Society. Yeah. Thank you so much, Perla. Thank you for all of your wisdom and weighing in on the subject. That's been fantastic.
No, it's been an absolute pleasure, and I'm looking forward to the 14th of May. I'm going to be there, and I'm going to be supporting you as a thalassemia doctor, but also as a committee member, so on behalf of the UK CMS. So thank you very much. And I just wanted to simply add that just for the audience, that the results will directly be sent from the NHS screening, so confidentiality will be maintained at all times. I think that's important for the audience to know that as well.
Yeah, thank you so much, Perla, and thank you again for representing us and for supporting our patients as always. Perla is always there to support us whenever we can.
Thank you.
So thank you very much for having us today, Tony.
Thanks, Tony.
Thank you very much for being here, for being our super guests. And on the
super duper guest.
We are.
You weren't saying that earlier.
No, he won't. He's happier now that we're finished.
UK Thalassaemia Society, represented by Ro Anna, who's the Vice Chair of UKTS, Thalassaemia Society UK, and the lovely Christina from Nepomac UK, representing a voice for young Cypriots in Britain.
Big responsibility, Tony.
I think you're doing a great job.
if I get any time off here, I'll gladly help. Also, just a reminder, you the lovely listener out there, the upcoming big clinic, Sunday 14th of May from 1pm through to 4pm at the UK TS office, 19 Broadway, Southgate Circus, free screening for thalassaemia trait.
On FM, on digital radio, on your mobile and online. This is London Greek Radio.